Welcome to the Fabulous 50s and Beyond. I'm Jim Pollard, your co-host with my wife, Janetta. Our guest today is Ray Gage. We're going to be talking about some of the veterans programs that are available in our area. These programs are both for the veteran and for an employer who can receive benefits. You stay attuned and pay very close attention, and we'll be right back.
And he'd say, go with what you got. Start from where you are. Give it your best shot. Keep reaching for that star. Get in the race. Keep your own pace. Keep moving and never stop. Just go. Go with what you got.
Welcome back. As I said, our guest today is Ray Gage. Ray, welcome to our show, and we are great to welcome you here. And we want you to start out by briefly explaining the program that you work with. I really would like to say, what happens when a veteran walks in the door from that point forward?
Well, thank you. That's a very good question. First of all, thank you for having me here. My name is Ray Gage, like you mentioned. I have been now with the local veterans employment staff. April will be 1 year. My title with that is I'm a Disabled Veteran Outreach Program Specialist. I work very closely with who's called the LEVER, the Local Veteran Employment Specialist. What we do is we assist veterans every single day and they're actively in their job search, and possibly we refer them to other programs that may benefit them or help them as far as them retaining them in their job search. The first thing we do, if a veteran walks into any of the career centers anywhere across the state, they would, at the front desk, they would meet someone. They would say, well, can we get your name first of all? And then they're asked if you are a veteran. If they are a veteran, then we implement what's called Veterans Priority of Service, where then that veteran can see the very next available worker who's working up in the front staff. And then depending on what they need, if it's an unemployment insurance type claim, they wouldn't come directly to the veteran staff or job services, or otherwise they would wait to see us.
So actually then you determine with them through counseling what their needs are then.
Yes, that's correct. First of all, there's no veteran that has the same identical needs. Some veterans will actually want to utilize and register what we call the Focus Career Kentucky Job Seeker System. Maybe they are employed and they're just looking for better employment, or they would like to look for employment outside the boundaries of Kentucky, or they actually are unemployed and then they've had trouble finding work. And you're right, we would have to sit down with them and conduct an initial assessment. One, determine if they're qualified to utilize our services. And then depending on the skills that they possess, they may have to be referred out for some additional training. Maybe there's some other immediate needs or barriers that could hinder their employment search, which is where I work real close with our local veteran rep. And from there, we just take it from there because everyone is different.
What do these two, there's a couple of things, DVOP and LVER.
Acronyms. Yeah, we're full of abbreviations. The acronym DVOP stands for Disabled Veterans Outreach Program. Across the United States, the Department of Labor has embedded in the career centers. They fund 2 programs annually. Every state implements it really to their own, I guess, standards. But nationwide, we have LEVERs. They're called Local Veteran Employment Representatives, because Ms. Trudy Barnum is our LEVER. Their primary function is to work with employers and to promote all the wonderful reasons of why they need to be hiring veterans, because veterans possess tons of knowledge, skills, abilities, traits, and great work ethic. And then the Disabled Veteran Outreach Program, the DVOP, is if we have a veteran who walks into our facilities and they're not totally ready to just focus 100% on their job search, maybe they have issues with transportation, or they're a homeless veteran, or they're having medical concerns. The DVOP is more engaged now of helping tear down some of those barriers to get that veteran where they're actually ready to go into their job search. So I specialize trying to learn every bit of the referral network that I can build up in our local community to help the veterans so they can go out there and actually focus on working, not worrying about a million other things on the back burners.
Now, do you call these career centers?
Yes, Kentucky, actually there's a couple of names. Everyone still refers to us as the Unemployment Office, which we are actually part of the Kentucky Career Centers, KCCs. We are the Paducah Career Center, but Kentucky's going through a rebranding program right now, and it is the Kentucky Career Center.
Now you have 3 offices that you cover, right?
Yes, sir, that is correct. Myself and our leaver, we cover the 9 western counties of western Kentucky, which 3 offices, Paducah, Mayfield, and Murray.
Okay,
So,
that's good to know. So that and the 9 counties are like the western part of the purchase area then?
yes, sir, the 9 counties, and since my memory is not perfect, I have them right here. We
Yeah.
cover Ballard County, Callaway County, Carlisle County, Fulton County, Graves County, Livingston County, Marshall County, and McCracken County. It's in quite a few miles.
Now, since this program is streamed on the internet, these same services are available throughout the state and throughout other states also, maybe under a different name though, right?
Yes, sir, that is correct. Any veteran nationwide can walk to, and still the word one-stop is pretty well widely utilized. They can go into any of the career centers or the one-stops, the unemployment offices, and receive real similar services. Some states may have more, some less, but all in all, they're all about totally the same services.
Well, since you got your numbers there, what's the approximate number of registered veteran job seekers that we have in our area?
As of the latest numbers I got, sir, it is actually a moving target. So on any given month, it goes up and down, but this is as of like 2 days ago, we have approximately 1,767 registered veterans in our job seeker system.
In those 3 offices?
And
in our
they're-
3.
They're looking for jobs, or
Since I always say it moves a little bit, they have registered and identified themselves as looking for work, so that becomes our target audience to target all of them. And some of them may not be eligible veterans, but they have registered thinking they are eligible veterans,
Right.
or other individuals could have registered. So we roughly say there's a couple of thousand, which is pretty high numbers.
Pretty high numbers for
Yes,
here.
sir.
Yes, it is. Is there a good chance that they can get more training or in-depth help through these offices?
There is currently, most veterans are familiar with what's called the GI Bill. So that in the old days, we promoted that all the time. Our newer, younger separating veterans who are now coming, lots of them who are being released from this current war, are eligible for what they call post-9/11 GI Bill benefits. And they have, the current administration has realized there is a tremendous void for certain individuals, veterans who have utilized up all of their benefits. So coming this July, on a nationwide basis, they're looking at possible retraining of 45,000 veterans. So if you divided that by all 50 states, each state could get potentially 9,000 veterans.
And then with the cuts they're talking about, isn't the number that I read not too long ago, they're talking about dropping the forces by like 80,000 in the next year and a half?
There's been a couple of numbers lately on TV, you know, we're going to cut the Army by 80,000 or that. But some numbers that we read, as of September of this past year, there were 900,000 unemployed veterans. Wow. And between 2012 and 2016, 1 million veterans will be released from the military. So even though we look at a force structure could be cut 80,000, in reality there's 100,000 entering, 1 million entering the workforce. So it's tremendous. With that, the Department of Labor is implementing a program we may talk about called Gold Card Services to help this huge volume of veterans that are going to be returning to the job force.
Go ahead and talk about it, because if we that to me is another prime reason why we need to get the economy going.
Well, actually, most of the veterans, if you look just at sheer population since 9/11, that's when the towers were hit. That generation of veterans, if you look at the unemployment index, which veterans always run in our area a couple of % higher than what you hear the traditional unemployment rate is. And the numbers are so high across the nation that the Department of Labor has said, well, why is this group of veterans, post-9/11 veterans, appearing to have a higher unemployment rate? We all have our own opinions of why that may be so. We find that a lot of those younger veterans transition out and go into a college or degree-seeking program in lieu of entering right into the workforce. But to accommodate them and help them, we want to provide them with Gold Card services. So nationwide, the Department of Labor has contracted and developed a Gold Card site where veterans can go to, print off a Gold Card, which I have a copy of here, and go into any career center in the United States, identify themselves as a veteran, and they will be entitled to a minimum of like 6 months of intensive services one-on-one with their DVOPs and their leavers. That's the acronym DVOP. Primarily the DVOP, which in this area would be me, We sit with the veteran. We do an initial assessment, career assessment on the skills they have or transferable skills that they may be able to utilize for another job, training shortfalls, barriers to employment, other opportunities in our area, and then we try to help them. We follow them intensely every 30 days for employment. So,
That sounds like a really big job, trying to get, help them all.
I use the term, it's a humbling job.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because every person is the same, and just when you think that you have it figured out what a need is, there's obviously some other need. So all these barriers that are real or perceived barriers, they're always going to be there. Is how do you handle it? How do you adapt to it? And because we all have our own trials, there are things going on in life, and still have to focus on employment.
Let's talk about some of the tax credits that are available for an employer and in hiring a veteran or especially a wounded warrior.
That's a great question. Actually, there have always been some form of tax credits for hiring our veterans, but the credits were expanded and re-signed back on November 24th by our current president, and they're actually targeting, and we always put the disclaimer up that we are not the revenue department with the state. As DVOPs or leavers, we want to educate our veterans on possible tax credits that may help them be the one to decide if an employer takes them over a non-veteran. So a veteran, for example, who has been unemployed for at least 4 weeks, an employer can get a credit of 40% of the first $6,000 worth of their wages. So actually up to $2,400 if it's a short-term unemployed veteran. If it's a long-term unemployed veteran, that's someone who's been unemployed 6 months or longer, an employer can get 40% of the first $14,000 of their wages, up to $6,000, or I'm sorry, $5,600, or our wounded warriors, which is one you mentioned. An employer can get 40% of the first $24,000 of the wages, or $9,600. So those are significant tax credits for employers.
And that's a good incentive for them. And before the show, we were talking about I ran a halfway house at one time. And we actually ran 3 businesses as well as the halfway house that helped support the house. And when I went to a Department of Labor meeting and trying to get a grant one time and explained to them what we were doing, the guy said, hey, you're creating jobs, you're not just making, because what we did, I would go to an employer and say, here's the benefits you can get if you'll hire this man. Now, you go out to train him, but that's where you go get these benefits. And then at that time, they had another program where if he needed tools, he could get tools from another agency to do the job so the guy could get him. And it usually worked out because, I mean, if you can hire somebody for 60% of their wages, that's a good deal.
Well, and a lot of times these, like I try to educate our veterans, I tell them, well, hey, credits are a lot different than deductions or wages, but I said, we always tell them to not become the tax expert, but to remind the employer, the HR department, because most big companies with human resources, they are so versed in these credits that the veteran don't even have to explain it. But to remind the veteran and say, hey, this is a reason you should hire me. I may come with a tax credit. Now the employer, they're always going to hire the one who can do the best job. But it's something that we want to keep up on the front burner and help market it. In addition to tax credits, we deal with a lot of veterans who are coming out of retraining programs that have been funded by the Veteran Affairs. And one of the programs in our office we work with is a VA program called Chapter 31, or Vocational Rehabilitation, where a veteran is retrained under VA dollars. The Veteran Affairs can actually come in and pay up to a portion of their salary in addition to the tax credits. So we are educating the employers and the veterans to saying, hey, here, part of my, or if you need to have me to do on-the-job training, the VA can help fund part of the salary while they're doing on-the-job training. So there's a whole lot of programs. We just try to not be the expert in all of them, but know to where to send them.
Well, I think that's fantastic. We're going to take a break right now, and we're going to take a break, and you stay tuned, and we'll be right back with more great information.
Our fugitive has been on the run for 90 minutes. Average foot speed over uneven terrain, barring any injuries, is 4 miles per hour. What I need from each and every one of you is a full target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, hen house, outhouse, and dog house in that area. Your fugitive has just cashed in his 401k plan, and all he had to do was roll it over.
Learn about rollovers and protecting your financial future, and choose to save.
You can't mess with a big dog.
Welcome back. Our guest today is Ray Gage, and we've got an interesting topic here talking about veterans programs and a lot of great information. So we want you to pay particular attention as we talk about some of the other things. And Ray, I appreciate this information because I think it's great for our veterans as well as for employers and the things that they can get into. I think Janetta's got a question for you here.
Well, they're talking about a new, I guess this is a new program, retraining the veterans.
And part of the retraining, and I might have threw it out there a little bit too quick, is coming in 1 July. That is where the actual additional 12 months of possible training to help with veterans who do not have any GI Bill benefits or any other training dollars available, where they can qualify under certain parameters. Currently, they're scheduled to release that on the 1st of July. For I think the age brackets right now, they're looking at veterans between 35 and 60 years of age, up to 12 months of training. So there are a lot of certificate programs even here in our community colleges where they can go in and get a pretty good training within 12 months, but not necessarily an associate's degree. And so we are hoping to get our share of the 45,000 veterans who are going to be trained across the country. Every one of those vets I mentioned earlier that we talked to, we mention that to them and tell them, hey, if you think you're going to be interested in retraining, do the groundwork now, do the research of where you want to go, get accepted into a training or institution or school, and hopefully on 1 July they can apply and get the funds to do that. So.
Well, I know that we tape and broadcast from WKCTC here, and they have a lot of good programs that are available for certification, and they do a great job. And I think that this just right here would be one place that they could look. And I know there are other colleges. I think Mid-Continent does the same thing in Mayfield, and other colleges that are around. So I think it's great that you're advising them to start doing the pre-work ahead of time, because if you got all that done when the money comes available,
correct,
you can kind of move to the front of the line.
Well, we have a wonderful working relationship here with West Kentucky Community College. The Veteran Affairs, Adam, who we constantly work with him, and we send all of our clients here who may be interested in training. And it is just one avenue, along with the Murray State, the Paducah School, and also Mid-Continent.
Yep.
And there are some even online opportunities that a veteran may, meet their needs more than just resident training. So.
And the younger ones would be tech enough to do the online part.
Correct. So.
Yeah, the older ones might have a little problem with doing that. Well, what is this? You've got a success team orientation program that goes on?
Yes.
It's an ongoing program.
Yes, sir. Back in August of last year, Ms. Barnum and I, we came to the conclusion that we talked to so many veterans, and there are some things that we constantly say over and over and over and over, which to try to compress time, we started hosting at the time they were called veteran seminars, veteran conferences, success team orientations. We were trying to do 2 of those a month at each of our locations, Mayfield, Murray, and Paducah, and now we backed off a little bit to 1 per month at each location. So we are holding 3 of those, where any veteran that wants to learn about any of our service and any services that our partner agencies may be able to provide, we encourage them to sign up. So if they don't come in personally to one of the career centers, we actually have a sign-up log right in the front door that shows the date and time of the next one in their location. For example, next Thursday we have approximately 20 signed up already for the Paducah one, which is a pretty good crowd. We spend about an hour and a half. We start out real similar. Okay, this is who we are, this is what we do, and these are things we don't do, because there is a lot of misunderstanding about what we are and what we do, because a lot of folks think we're the Veteran Affairs or we're the Kentucky Department of Veteran Affairs, and we try to educate them as we are the job service part. We reinforce and complement all these other programs, but we help them more. It's a really good seminar.
Well, let me take a break right here and say that we are posting on our website all of your information, how they can get in touch with you, and all of you, how they can find out what's going on. So if you're watching today and you're not picking it all up as we do it, we encourage you to go to thefabulous50s.net. And on that site, you can find a lot of information about what we're doing, links to their websites and things that they're doing. So that's thefabulous50s.net for more information. And we want to encourage you to go there and get that information, because it's hard to get it all as we go through it here.
Yes, sir.
Plus, on that website, this show will be streamed, and you can watch it over and over and over if you so desire to do so. Well, let's talk about some of the other things that you're doing. You're going to be having job fairs and things like that.
Yes, sir. What we do, especially on the veteran staff, if we don't have local job fairs in our area, we are very aware of any surrounding job fairs. For example, Fort Campbell, they host routinely. They do miniature, what we call mini job fairs, and then they have two very large job fairs, actually a couple of times a year. March the 12th and March 11th, they'll probably have 2,500 job seekers come through Fort Campbell, which is one of the area's biggest job fairs. We also promote the job fairs with Murray State University, because we have a very large veteran group that attends Murray State. That's also coming up in March. We have virtual job fairs that are ongoing every month throughout the United States. So veterans who have decided, well, the job's not just working out for me here, I want to look nationwide. We encourage them to come out to some of there's one called millicrute.com. So we can also share those websites with you if you were willing to put them on your website. That would be a wonderful idea. Or they can come, or we can put them on our email or our hot jobs list. We pretty well overload most of our veterans with information. So.
Well, that's good, because as I said earlier, throughout the years doing this show, we have been able to determine and find services and programs that are available that I had never heard of, had no idea that they were available. And that's one of the reasons that we do this show, is to inform the public of what's available for their needs in their area. And there's a great need right here. I was so impressed this last December as we did our work at Fort Campbell. We were there for 3 different Christmas parties, and very impressed with these young men. I think they're outstanding young men, and they are a volunteer force. And I'm convinced that since they are a volunteer force, that if we can provide the services for them, they don't want to be do-nothings. They want to do something.
Well, myself, I have close to 30 years in uniform as a former retired from the United States Army. I do feel we're a very blessed nation. The skill sets that transitioning service members, regardless of which branch they come from, that is what employers are looking for. And someone like you mentioned, they're hard chargers. Mission accomplished. They want to.
Yeah, they're mission oriented.
Mission impossible.
Loyal, used to long work hours.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think it's important that we get this out and let them know what's available and what's going on and everything like that. Well, go ahead.
We hear of so many that are homeless. Now, is this exaggerated, or is?
Well, numbers, which we always get bogged down in numbers. Approximately 2 years ago, on any given night, there were 86,000 homeless veterans across the United States. Our area, we're very fortunate. So if we just look at numbers, they're very, very small. Last year, since April, we have a couple of homeless shelters in our area. Very few, 1 or 2. I mean, nothing like on the streets of Los Angeles. But being in Western Kentucky, we have to work sometimes at a distance. Like Marion, Illinois is our supporting VA hospital, Veteran Affairs Hospital. And they have homeless veteran coordinators. If they have any issue, a homeless veteran can call. There's 1-800 numbers and reach out and get assistance. Starting next Tuesday in Hopkinsville, they're opening the first, which will be the closest one to us, is a 50-bed homeless veteran facility. So in addition to just homelessness, they attack the whole issue of homelessness, which sometimes involves counseling, there's substance abuse, there's other mental issues. So we're very fortunate that that's going to be coming in our area, and I found out about that right before coming here today.
And there's a new hospital going to open up, a mental hospital going to open up in Marshall County that was in the news last week.
Oh, see, I have not heard about that.
Yeah, And they're refurbing it now to open it up, and they're going to do some work, I think, with veterans. You can
They
check
had
it
a,
out.
Oh, that's excellent.
They had a hospital there,
They took the old hospital,
Okay.
what they did.
and they're going to use that for,
Okay.
because they
Well-
built a brand new hospital.
Homelessness is very important, and the general viewpoint is there should not be one homeless veteran
I know,
on the
You're
streets
right,
you know,
there shouldn't be.
As I
of
said,
the United States.
dealing with the halfway house, we dealt with homeless also.
Well, we conduct, and that's one of the roles as a DVOP, Disabled Vets Outreach. I'm always out looking. I work with our local American Legions and Disabled American Veterans and the River City Missions. We're constantly in there saying if there's any homeless veterans in there, we need to know about it because we can put them in and refer them to the proper individuals. The state of Kentucky has a homeless veterans program, which the numbers always say, well, it doesn't appear you have that many in Western Kentucky. Well, one's one too many.
Right.
So with your
Right.
audience, if anyone knows of a homeless veteran, I would tell them, you call our office or, call and we'll definitely put them in touch with the right local people.
Well, we had been here for a while. We came back 19 years ago. And of course, our daughter Valerie, and she's been involved downtown and followed, everything. And finally I went to her and I said, Valerie, where are the homeless and the street people? I said, they gotta be here. She said, they're here, Dad, but they're pretty well hidden. And
Yeah, like some cities, they're very obvious.
yeah,
But
Oh, yes.
we're such a small town.
We
but they're
came
we
from
just
pretty
don't see it
well
Florida,
hidden here.
and there was a park where there would always be some sleeping on. No, I'm not saying they were veterans. I'm just saying that they were homeless.
Well, the first priority, what I have found out with homeless veterans, we do have 2 VA Veteran Affairs clinics in our area. One is in Mayfield and one is in Paducah, right near the mall. We tell a veteran, number one, go to the VA clinic. First, your health is important. Obviously,
Right.
we'll tack the homeless issue. It's because it's more than just one meeting of work. So, but to actually tell them, don't be so proud that you're afraid to reach out for
Right.
help. And that's one thing I find dealing with veterans is they do have so much pride, they don't want
Of
to ask
course.
for help.
Yeah.
And it's there for the asking.
Well, Ray, our time is up. And I really appreciate this information and your being with us today because I think you've given us a wealth of information for our veterans and the programs that are available, and if they'll just take advantage of it. And that's what's important because we want to put it out there for them, and then they've got to make a step. And so we encourage them to do that. We want to remind you that we'll be back here again next week. You can watch us on the internet. You can watch us on Comcast, and we encourage you to do that. Remember, use it or lose it.
Can't see as well as I used to. Can't run as far or as fast. Sometimes I think that the old me is becoming exactly that. But when I start thinking of all I don't have, that's when I tell poor me Beethoven was 50 and deaf as a post when he wrote his Ninth Symphony. And he'd say, go with what you got.